This is a mock interview conducted by ForumIAS Academy at New Delhi. The interview panel includes eminent professors, retired bureaucrats, and other luminaries. The objective of the program is to acquaint the candidate with the format and expectations of the personality test conducted by UPSC.
May I come in, sir?
Come in.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Take a seat. Aditi Yadav, when is your interview?
5th April, sir.
5th April. Okay, you are coming from Alwar, Rajasthan. Political science and IR was your option. You have studied in Kendriya Vidyalaya up to 10th in Rajasthan, Bikaner.
Yes, sir. 2 classes, 2 years. So 9th and 10th I was in Bikaner.
Okay, thereafter you go to Allahabad.
Yes, sir.
Why this long distance flight?
So my father was in a transferable job. So he got posted to Allahabad.
Here it's written Chief Logistics Officer.
Yes, sir.
So in which institution?
With the Indian Air Force, sir. He retired as a Chief Logistics Officer from Gurgaon, and he was employed with the Indian Air Force.
Indian Air Force, okay. Here it's not given where you did your graduation and in what subject.
Sir, I did my graduation in economics from the Hansraj College in the University of Delhi.
Okay. Then you went to Delhi School of Economics.
Yes, sir.
What were your optional subjects there?
At Delhi School of Economics, sir.
Yeah.
So we had to choose 2 to 3 electives. So some of the electives that I chose were industrial economics, and one was behavioral economics, sir. A mix of behavioral economics and ethics. So these were the 2.
Okay. Who was teaching industrial economics there?
Aditi Bhattacharya, sir.
Aditi Bhattacharya.
Yes, sir.
And was the director of DSE then?
So director at that time, I am forgetting, sir. I'm sorry. I think it was Aditya, sir, but I am not sure about it.
Okay. You've worked in PriceWater House Coopers. But it seems you're not too happy working there. You left after a year.
Sir, I was happy. The work was good. I felt that my calling was elsewhere and I should try. So that was the main reason for leaving. The work there was field specific. I was in the field of healthcare analytics, where we dealt with the clients in the US healthcare space. And I wanted to be in a more public service delivery, public facing role. So I thought to take an attempt.
Did the DSE placement cell?
Yes, sir.
Cell helped you in getting this job?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. The companies came to campus through the placement cell, and that is how I was recruited.
Why you left the job?
Sir, I thought my calling lied elsewhere, and I could perform up to the best of my potential in a public-facing service delivery role. That is what I always wanted to do,
You
sir.
wanted to prepare for civil services?
Yes, sir. But since no one from my family had ever been in a corporate environment, I wanted to make sure what that was about. And I got through the company via the placement cell. So it was a nice experience, sir.
Okay, you watch television series.
Yes, sir.
What do you mean by series? What have you watched lately?
Right, sir. One of the interesting series that I recently watched, sir, was Mindhunter. It's directed by John Douglas, and it's a play where FBI agents try to understand the psyche of serial killers in an attempt to identify or flag potentially problematic agents early on and arrest serial killings.
So, if you are selected in the IPS, how will you catch a serial killer?
Right, sir. Sir, in a long-term perspective, we have to understand trends that serial killers display. All serial killers have a modus operandi, whether it's their target, whether it's their way of killing.
It's similar.
No, sir. It's serial killer specific. So one serial killer, if he or she may be targeting women, so that is their modus operandi. Some may be using the modus operandi of strangling. So to identify such traits and then to build a case, and of course, technical help in forensics will also be helpful.
Okay. You have done economics.
Yes.
Can you tell me the key highlights of the Indian economy today?
Right, sir. Sir, Indian economy is the world's fastest growing economy. We have clocked a growth rate of 8.3% in our third quarter, and our revised growth rate for the entire year is also 7.6%. India is also poised to become one of the world's greatest markets in terms of our demography, our population. Our economic growth has been service-led. Our manufacturing sector has stagnated to around 13-14%. Services is where we're doing very good. Although manufacturing sector is picking up, the index of industrial production for February was expansionary for manufacturing sector as well. We are also parallelly moving to an inclusive growth where we're lifting people out of poverty. Having said that, sir, India still has the world's highest number of poor people by the World Bank standard of $2.5 per day. So these are some of the highlights, sir.
Okay. You must have read about the interim budget.
Yes, sir.
Why is this budget suddenly so worried about reducing fiscal deficit?
Right, sir. Sir, fiscal consolidation had to be undertaken for a couple of reasons. Given that we're moving from the COVID time expansion, it was the right time to undertake it. India's government bonds have been included in some international indices, which built further motivation for the government to undertake fiscal consolidation. Growth-wise, we seem to be doing good, so we can cut back on our expenditures without hampering the growth a lot. So,
our inflation rates are at a good level. It has gone down. Even then, RBI is so stubborn in not reducing the repo rates. Why are they doing this?
So the inflation for February was 5.09% CPI inflation, which is decreased from 5.11% in January. So the RBI governor in the MPC meeting has said that the full transmission of 250 basis point is still being done. So we do have some time before we need to cut that. Having said that, sir, there were dissent opinions within the MPC where
one person had gone against.
Professor Jayant had dissented, and he said that we might be neglecting growth for inflation at this point, and it might be a requisite time for interest rate cuts. But we will have to wait and see, sir, perhaps in the next MPC meeting.
The food inflation is perhaps affecting their decision making.
Right, sir. In February also, food inflation inched slightly upwards from January. It was at 8.66%, which was slightly above the January level. So, given how the Rabi crops and the Kharif sowing progresses, a balanced call will be taken in the next meeting, sir.
Okay, one last question I have for you. A large number of Indians are going abroad to study for jobs. And we've seen UK being very serious about not allowing foreign students. They say that it is affecting the quality of their higher education. Canada has also reduced the number of student visas they are going to grant. What do you think? How do you react to such decisions? Indians are not good students.
Sir, I believe Indians form one of the best student communities all over. The Western nations are aging. They require people from the East to come and work in their economy. So it's in their benefit for us to, for them to have the Indian population there. We are some of the most progressive Indians are in the Silicon Valley. So I believe India is poised to go and study abroad. Having said that, if there are concerns that those government have, we may bilaterally solve them, address their concerns. Quality checks on the students through education consulting services can be instituted. And we must undertake a holistic approach from a long-term perspective, because Indian students will continue to go outside.
But our External Affairs Minister, who is so active otherwise, is not talking to Rishi Sunak. Is it because he was from India?
Sir, I would like to believe not. Perhaps once the election cycle in India has settled, we will be able to undertake some of these long-term problems with
Okay,
UK.
thank you.
Aditi, you have your optional as political science, right?
Yes,
Political
sir.
science and science. Okay. Tell me, what do you mean by one nation, one election?
Right, sir. So, one nation, one election refers to the simultaneous conduct of elections at the state assembly level and the union level.
That's
and,
it?
Sorry, sir.
Only at two levels?
No, sir. And also at the
Local body levels,
Yes,
right?
sir, local body level.
Okay. Okay. So, what is your view on that?
Sir, I believe that this is...
You support it?
No, sir.
You don't support it?
No, sir. I do think that different election cycles are a better call for India at this moment in time. Sir, the kind of voters that we have, for voters like you and me, we're educated, we're in city, it's easier for us to demarcate the state level policy from the national level policy. But we must think about the 80-year-old woman in a village in India. Will she be able to do it? So I believe there are a lot of reforms that have to be followed before we can institute one nation, one election, prime amongst two.
So, you are the person who support these regional parties?
Regional issues in politics.
Regional issues in politics.
Yes, sir.
So, regional issues in politics are better dealt by regional parties, right?
Yes,
Not
sir.
the national parties.
They're able to give more attention and more specific.
More specific, right?
Yes, sir.
But Honorable Prime Minister's opinion on regional parties, I think you are aware of that. He mentioned that regional parties are a threat to the democracy. Why? Only one family is earning lot of money. It is a threat to democracy, first thing, and second thing, it is against the merit-based system, because his son or his daughter will enter the politics. That is what happening in India. You agree with his statement or not?
Sir, I believe that is a problem of how our current politics is functioning. At a conceptual level, regional parties, state legislative assembly elections, local body elections give space to regional members to voice the opinions. And as for nepotism, sir, it also exists at the Lok Sabha level. So we need a holistic reform at all levels. I would say it's not a regional party specific problem, but more the political sector problems of India.
Okay, so you support regional parties first thing, and you don't support this, on the basis of that, you don't support this one nation, one election bill.
So there are pros and cons to it, but currently I find myself in the favor of separate
Not
elections.
in favor of, you are in favor of separate election.
Yes, sir.
But with separate election, there are so many disadvantages that has been mentioned by Law Commission.
Right, sir.
Are you aware of those disadvantages?
Yes, sir.
What are those disadvantages?
So prime amongst them is the kind of money that is spent in election cycles. There is also the deployment that is required all over the country. But sir, I believe the cost of elections in India is 0.02% of the nation's GDP, and that is a cost I think the voters will be happy to bear. Also, so there are other reforms.
You know, that is, the development of the country will also be affected with the frequent elections, right? Every time you are introducing this model code, and once model code is introduced, the development works all will be stopped. So every year there will be 2-3 elections happening in every state.
Right, sir. Sir, for that, two things come to mind. Either we can have a two-time elections, so every 2.5 years the elections that are falling can be clubbed together, and also say the model code of conduct is in operation from the announcement of the election schedule till when it is ended, so that is approximately 35-40 odd days. These schemes that are already running continue to be implemented, so sir, I believe 30 odd days is a
But that
small.
is happening every state, no? Today, 35-40 days is implemented in 2 states. After 6 months, 35-40 days in another state. So like that, it is rotating among the states, right?
Right, sir.
It's not
So
30-45 days for once a time.
yes, sir. Correct, sir. So in that case, sir, the elections falling closer together, Niti Aayog had also suggested that we can have a common election cycle every 2 to 2.5 years. That
Okay, so you need any changes to the constitution for this one nation, one election?
yes, sir. Some changes will be required.
Some changes will be
yes,
required.
sir.
Okay. Okay, I will ask you one last question. See, right now, India's foreign policy, especially with respect to its neighbors, people are saying that it's not being dealt properly. What do you think?
Sir, the times that we are in are changing. The neighbors in India's foreign policy are finding an agency of their own. So there is some apprehension in them that India is playing the big brother role. Sir, India must continue to engage and not impose. So giving them time to voice their opinions, respecting their choices seems like the way ahead. Having said that, sir, India has always provided humanitarian, technical, economic support to the nation. So I think all the neighbors will appreciate and respect that also.
Thank you.
Aditi, yes. So Aditi, we have been talking about Amrit Kal and
Yes.
from moving from Vishwaguru to Vishwamitra. Now, what is your idea of Bharat?
Right. Ma'am, my idea of Bharat is, I would like to talk about it on two fronts. One is the internal front and one is our international front. In the internal front, ma'am, my idea of Bharat is a healthy, well-educated, progressive Bharat. So education, health and economic empowerment must all go together. On the international front, my idea of Bharat is that we take care of those behind us and we treat those ahead of us as equals.
Okay. So we won't be a big brother to our neighboring countries. Okay. Now we were also talking about Viksit Bharat by 2047 in the next 25 years. What do you see are the challenges in becoming this Viksit Bharat?
Right, ma'am. Ma'am, first challenge is the economic growth. We have to sustain close to 10% nominal growth for the foreseeable future, which may prove difficult. There's fiscal consolidation to take care of. And then, ma'am, stemming from these economic growths, there are social welfare aspects of it. Is enough money being spent and utilized in fields like education and health? In the interim budget, the utilization for health and education ministries was not complete, so the revised estimates were lower. So these are some of the issues, ma'am. And also bringing women into the economic fold. Our women labor force participation rate is still 35%, which is way below the 66% average of the world. So that seems to be an opportunity that we must tap on. And also, ma'am, now we're moving towards technology that is drastically different from what we've grown up with. So to upkeep the skilling of the common man.
Okay. Now, so this Viksit Bharat of 2047 is also what, when you get selected, you would also be a part of it. Yes? You'll be
Yes.
writing that journey together. What, if you had to choose any two focus areas, what would you?
All right, ma'am. Can I just take 10 seconds? Ma'am, my two focus areas would be education and creating more jobs. So making people earn and for them to then demand public services. So
Okay. Now, although you have an economics background, but still, what do you understand by generative AI?
generative AI, right, ma'am? Ma'am, it refers to the current AI technologies that use large amounts of data to give human-like answers and solutions to problems. They're trained on large amounts of data.
How is this different from closed AI?
I am not sure, ma'am. Can I venture a guess? Generative AI, after a point, ma'am, it utilizes all kinds of data available. Closed AI may be data specific or field specific AI.
Now, also, what do you understand by hacking?
Right. Ma'am, illegal breaking into networks. Those networks can be of any kind, bank networks, AI networks, illegally breaking and taking control of those networks.
Is hacking. Then we have ethical hacking as well. Now, my question is, we are going to elections, right? Can EVMs be hacked?
Right. Ma'am, I would not like to put anything past technology. So purely from a possibility perspective, it seems like EVMs can be hacked, but we need to make sure that we are ahead of the curve through red teaming exercises, ethical hacking, and making sure that we've done everything we can to identify any loopholes.
Okay. Can cryptocurrency be hacked? And how do we prevent that?
Ma'am, I think the way things stand as of now, cryptocurrency cannot be hacked. It's based on a blockchain. So every single node will have to okay something, agree to something for a change to occur. So far, perhaps it's not hackable.
Okay. My last question to you is on women empowerment. What do you understand? What is women empowerment for you?
Right, ma'am. Ma'am, at the basic level, women empowerment to me is women having the agency to make their life decisions. Those decisions could be in any field, healthcare, family planning, education, work, but having the agency to make decisions without fear of retribution, reprimand.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Hello, Aditi.
Hello, sir.
Aditi, what is Rajasthan doing well which can be implemented at the national level?
Right, sir. So Rajasthan has recently come out with the Right to Health Act, where it's providing comprehensive coverage of 25 lakhs of healthcare.
Okay, one is right to health.
Right to health. Also, sir, it is the minimum income provisions are also there in Rajasthan. The urban income scheme, I'm forgetting the name.
Employment guarantee.
Yes, sir, employment guarantee. I think it's Indira Gandhi Employment Guarantee Scheme. That is something that the country can look at. Also, sir, Rajasthan has a state litigation policy as well, which a lot of states do not have. Considering that government is the biggest litigant, these are some of the areas that we can.
Okay, about the right to health you mentioned.
Right, sir.
So there were a lot of concerns regarding that.
Right.
So how come they have implemented it? Because there were protests from different domains, including the doctors.
Right, sir.
Yes.
Right, sir.
So how they have boiled down to that?
So the protests were from both sides, so doctors as well as the patients, and it seemed that at the core of the protests were the information asymmetry that exists. There are frustrated patients, there are overworked doctors. So while I'm not sure, sir, the exact discussions that took place for the bill to be implemented, I believe, sir, there was discussion on both ends, and there was some guarantees that there will be a grievance redressal mechanism.
Are we ready for right to health being implemented at the national level?
Yes, sir. We will, if we're not ready, we'll become ready. But it is it is a basic need that must be there. With PMJ, it is already being implemented for almost half the population, and for the rest half also, sir.
So it can be used as a motivation factor for being ready, right? So that act, if implemented at the national level, can be a motivation to move towards the right to health, better infrastructure,
Yes,
etc.
sir.
Right?
Yes.
What about same-sex marriages?
Sir, I belong to the school of thought where I believe society should progress organically. So something as sacred as marriage in the Indian society, we must take care of two things. First, that there's enough communication between all agents. There are pro people, there are anti people. Communication is the first step. And second of all, sir, I believe that when it comes to something like marriage, it's not an opportune time for us to force it. India has already come a long way.
How can we force right to health then when we are not ready?
Right, sir. So health as a requirement is there's more agreement in society on the importance of health over something subjective, say.
There is less requirement for recognizing the rights of people who belong to LGBT community.
In terms of a marriage, in terms of a marriage, maybe. I'm
Maybe.
sorry. Yes, sir.
All right. You have studied PSIR, Political Science and International Relations. So what is, if I say, let's say, NATO was an institution which belonged to 20th century, but in 21st century, it is only creating issues. How far do you agree to that?
Right, sir. Sir, I believe NATO does have its value. There are more and more countries that have joined NATO in the recent past. So it does provide security guarantees to some of the smaller nations of Europe.
Give me an example in the
Sir,
recent time, 21st century.
Yes, so Finland has joined, sir.
No, they have joined. What guarantee?
Right.
Who have utilized that guarantee?
So thankfully, we're not in the state where one needs to utilize those guarantees, but
Is Ukraine able to utilize that?
no, sir, but Ukraine was also not a part of NATO when the war broke out. So if
Is it now?
No, sir. It's still in talks, but it's not yet formally a part of NATO.
All right, go ahead. About NATO you're talking.
Yes, sir. So it does provide security guarantees. So I do believe there is value to it. Some things need to be changed in NATO also. President Donald Trump has said that the West cannot undertake expenditure, the defense expenditure of a lot of countries. Russia has its apprehensions about the spread of NATO. So some much needed reforms are required, but I do believe that there is still value to the idea.
Yesterday, President Putin commented that we are ready for a nuclear war. So don't you think that NATO is the responsible organization which is poking some other power to an extent or trying to create an insecurity dilemma around them? So is that the case?
So there is some insecurity dilemma, but the nature of Russia's response is a counterfactual. We don't really know what would have happened had NATO not been there. Russia does have expansionist ambitions. So having NATO for a lot of countries is like erring to the side of caution, sir. So.
All right. Thank you, Aditi.